All right, welcome to the Sweet Talk. Today is Monday, July 13th, 2020, and I am your host, Kim Matina. And I am a Google certified trainer and educator, as well as a gold product expert for the Google for Education team. And today I have on my show Miss Carol Nelson. Thank you for coming on, Carol.
It's good to be here with you.
Carol comes to us from Kansas. She is an education technology specialist for the McPherson School District, which is pre-K through 12. And she has her master's in curriculum and instruction from
Wichita.
Wichita State University. All right, you can tell my accent is definitely not the New York accent, so it doesn't sound the same. So welcome to the show. I'm really happy to be here and connect with you tonight.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here with you.
So, is there anything else that you would like to share with the audience about yourself?
Well, just a recent grad of the Google Innovator Group, New York City 19. So that's an exciting aspect. And just graduated my high school senior this last weekend. So it's been a crazy,
Wow.
crazy bit of time.
Yeah. Well, congratulations to your child. That's awesome. Very unique times for these graduates this year. So, you
Yes,
know. But anyway, we're going to be talking about Google Drawings.
we are.
And really curious to hear what you have to say about it. And Carol's going to share with us how we can use it in the classroom and some tips and tricks about using it as well. So, Google Drawings is another app that's included in the G Suite bundle. It's in Google Drive. It lives in Drive just like a Google Doc or a slide. But it's not really used that much.
It's
So
a
it's
hidden treasure.
definitely it's a hidden gem. I mean, I use Google Drawings. I like it. And I go in there because I have a lot more options with formatting and making things look pretty
Yeah.
rather than using Google Docs. But a lot of people they still don't, they kind of shy away from it a little bit. So why don't you share with us some of your expertise on this great app?
Yeah, I have to say Google Drawings has probably become one of my favorite Google tools. It really is kind of one of those hidden gems, and when you start to see what you can do with it, I think it gets really exciting because the formatting aspect, like you mentioned, it just allows you to have a little bit more control over where you put your text box, where you put your image, and how you handle your image. All those aspects are just a little bit cleaner and nicer within Google Drawings. So yeah, do you want me to show a little bit of? I think it's probably a show and tell. I was debating whether I would go show and tell or not, but I think I'm going to. Um,
That's fine. You can do
okay,
that. That would be awesome.
so I'm going to show this, and these are just some ideas, and I think that's where you can start to get kind of the creative juices flowing with it. Is that classroom examples of what you can do with it, and then I'll talk some tips and tricks too. But making just simple images and adding text boxes, you can create, kind of your own image that you can interact with. And that's what I love so much about Google Drawing is kind of the interactivity that you can build in with this is a drag and drop that someone created. Not me. I did create this little email one because our teachers were asking about how can our kids practice, sending an email without really doing it. And so I just took an image from Google from Gmail and then added text boxes on top of it. And there you have just kind of a practice that you can do in drawings and a safe way to do it. You can create fun images, with like the memes of clear the cookies and Casey Bell. I think this is a Casey Bell one where it's the refrigerator type poetry.
Magnetic poetry.
Yes, that's it. I love that example. And we've used that a lot in the classroom. Several of my teachers, that's projects that I've gone in and helped them with in the classroom is we've done some magnetic poetry. And there's ones for different, months and different seasons and all of that. So
I love the email template.
yeah,
I
yeah.
thought that was a good idea because you can kind of have like show a dialogue.
Absolutely. Yeah, it just and what was cool is it met a need that was, in our district. And then here's some other examples. 3 of these are not ones that I did. The drag and drop idea, manipulatives and creating your own and having just a library of those. This was one of my favorites. I was able to go to a training with Matt Miller, and he talked about doing comic strips. And so just with Google Drawings, a few things. This is an image, and then you have a shape and the text, and that's it. And then you create a very cool comic strip with it. And this is another Matt Miller gem of just an interactive poster. So amazing things. And it doesn't take you don't have to be an expert at design or creating. Once you learn a few of the basic things with Google Drawings, then you can do all of this stuff. Each of these examples these are shapes and coloring in this shape. This is, a table and shapes that you put in text. So very simple in a sense. Once you know those, you can create really cool things.
Yeah, I've used Google Drawings as well as an interactive poster. So like I created like an animal cell.
Mm-hmm.
So I found a picture of an animal cell and I put that in as the background, and then I linked different parts to like a video or like a video of me speaking, or maybe it was of the website, different things. So it ended up becoming like a hyperdoc, but it was a Google
Yes.
drawing file. And it becomes more engaging for the students too.
Mm-hmm.
When they're engaged and they're active, then you have more chance for them to be more active into the lesson and participate and
Mm-hmm.
comprehend. So I think the interactivity is very important, and I'm glad that you showed an example of that as well.
Yeah, and just enabling the students to become creators as well. With the comic strips, that's something that they could create themselves. And a lot of the examples are kind of from a teacher perspective of things that I created as a teacher to help students. But the flip side of that is the students can create these, and then they are the creators, and making things themselves for different options that you present. So, and then I've done certificates for PD and even badges. And I know that's something that a lot of people think of too with Google Drawings, is creating those badges that you can give out. And then more recently, this is a fun thing that I've done with the district this summer, is I created a Techopoly, what I called it. So it's kind of a version of Monopoly, and each of the spaces links to a card, and the card tells them tasks that they can complete. And then I have a cute little completion badge as far as that too. So
That's awesome. I love that.
It's a fun little thing, and it's all very doable with Google Drawings. Like I said, just simple little pieces.
That's awesome. I love that Techopoly. Oh, say it again?
Techopoly.
Techopoly. I love that because it brings in choice too. Like, so people can, pick what they want to learn about. And you don't have to use it for teachers. You can use it for students too.
Yep.
That's awesome. I love it. Well, that's a great idea. Now you got my wheels spinning.
I love options where you can give choice and even, just lots of different spaces around the board. But then also on each card, I tried to level it to where beginners have something to do. If you've never heard about this thing before, like Google Drawings, here's your task. So you can learn and grow in it. And then here's a task where you start to apply your knowledge and you grow a little bit deeper. And then kind of a level 3 where you're developing something that you can use in the classroom. You're taking it even a little bit step further.
Yeah, I agree. Now, so you used it with teachers, and how did students use it? Did you see how they created things with Google Drawings in their class?
Yeah, not using Techopoly. That was just something we started this summer. But I've gone in and talked to teachers in our district with Google Drawings. And I had one teacher specifically really use it and she was doing a project it was the banned books week. And so she had her students create their posters for banned books week in Google Drawings. And actually she gave them a choice between a couple tools, but one tool was Google Drawings. And so it was really cool because I got to see the project from, I was telling the students about this tool that they could use. And before that, I actually had told the teachers how to use it, and she invited me in. So it was really neat to see the whole process and then get to see their finished products hanging on the wall of how they had used the tool to express the learning goals of the classroom teacher.
And what grade was that?
That was high school. And
was that the first time that they used Google Drawings?
I believe so. For some of them might have been, learned about it before, but many, it was a new tool for them. And so we worked through just the different components and how you use the different pieces. And I have a presentation that's the Google beginners kind of version, if you've never used it. And we go through using each little tool, like, here's how, you can crop a picture, but did you know that you could crop a picture into a shape within Google Drawings? So I try and draw out those little pieces and some hints and tricks for using it as well.
It's funny that you say that because like I'm a technology teacher at my school. I'm in middle school. So I push into the classroom and I create lessons, with the teacher, but I also have to create specific technology components that align with their lesson that I'm creating with their subject so that they can be like proficient before they go to high school. And one of the things that I do with them is Google Drawings. And we do a whole like lesson on spreadsheets and budget and shopping and that stuff. And then they have to make like a cover page for that project. And and when this is 8th grade, so they haven't been using that app as well. And so when they go in there and they see all the cool formatting features and all the different like stickers and call outs and the word art, and they are immediately hooked. Like it's like within minutes they're hooked, and how you can connect shapes with the line connectors and it's a hidden gem. And like I've used it with students as like a flow charting tool, even like Venn diagrams, brainstorming different concepts. I mean, I compare it to like Microsoft Paint.
Oh yeah. It's a good comparison.
Yeah, and that's kind of how like some kids know about Paint, but some so you kind of introduce it that way. That's how I do it, but they really do get hooked on it, and it's a shame because they should be doing that more in the elementary with the kids. Especially with shapes and formatting and things. Like they don't understand the terms.
And what's so nice, just like all the Google tools, it saves right there. You're already signed in. Just those pieces are so nice.
Yeah, exactly. So that's cool. I'm glad to see that, we're similar. Like I'm just at the middle school and exposing them. Like my goal is to expose the students so that when they get to high school, at least they've heard of it and had some kind of experience with it. So it's, I'm glad to see that you're exposing them as well so that, they're prepared for the working world. They have those skills that they need. Because when you open up Google Drawings, one thing that we should mention is when you start a new drawing, it's really one page. It's one piece of canvas. There's no multiple pages in there. You can resize the canvas, and you can change the background color and all that stuff. But you're only working with one piece of paper or one canvas, and you're not going to have multiple pages in there. So when you're done with that, you can download it as an image, which is nice.
Image, PDF. There's so many options for downloading that, and not only just image, you have the PNG or a JPEG. So
yeah, and then I'm sure in high school, they want to share it out maybe with their friends or social media. You know what I mean? So for them, they have that option to do that as well. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So what are some of your tips and tricks that you that you think is helpful for your audience?
Yeah, I think of course learned a lot of these from other people, but using the shift key when drawing a line will keep that line straight. So as we're
Really?
as we're drawing lines, you know how hard it is to get that line just straight, especially for some of those that are perfectionists with it. Yeah, as you're going to draw that line, you click down on the shift key and then drag the line out. It's perfect. And
I didn't know that. Okay.
yeah, it's a great tip. And then like when you're drawing, if you want to circle, as you're drawing that shape out, sometimes it can go from circle to oval and back and forth. So as you start to draw that, again, if you use the shift key, it maintains the aspect ratio out. So the shift key is a huge tool within it. And then I think the other big thing that I learned as a tip that I've used, and I actually use it in some other Google apps as well, is that I'm a Mac user. So it's Command. And then if you do up, if you have like a shape or an image selected, and you're wanting to get that shape, let's say on top of, or how the layers are, and sometimes it's hard to find where to adjust those layers, whether it's in front or behind. And so if you select one that you're wanting to move in front, on my Mac, it's Command and then the up key, and it moves it up. And so that's been a huge time saver for me, because I probably couldn't even tell you where to find that in Google Drawings. So that's a very quick shortcut for me that I use all the time with that Command key. And then
I'll have to try that. I'll have to try that and see. Maybe it's Control.
I think it may be Control on Windows.
Yeah, it might be Control, because I'm always like dragging, like, all right, drag, right click, order, and then I drag it back. So that's a good shortcut to know. I didn't know that one.
It's a great shortcut. That one has saved me a lot of time. I think the other fun one is the difference between a scoot and a nudge. And I don't know if have you heard that one before?
Explain that one. I never heard that one before.
Yeah. So I think it's the command. It's okay. I'm going to go into my hints and tricks real quick. I'm going to share my screen again. And I know it's one of them because I don't want to tell you wrong. And I use it, but now I'm drawing a blank as I talk to you. So
that's okay.
I'm going to go in here and I'm going to find it, because I put a few of these in here just to make sure I talked about them. So here it is. Let me go to this one. It's coming up. So a scoot is just when you click an arrow over. So you have your shape selected and you just arrow over. That's a scoot. And then I heard it was called a nudge when you hold, it's my shift key again. So if you do shift arrow, it's a little bit less of a movement. So it helps you really fine tune where you're moving that shape to. So it's another one that I've used many, many times, because sometimes it's just too much for that arrow. But if you hold the shift and then the arrow, it fine tunes that movement and you can get it right where you want it to go.
Okay, so it sounds like the shift key is the magic key here.
It's a magic key within drawings. I love it.
Okay, well that's good, because I mean, I knew that in slides. Like I've used the shift key and then the arrow key to move objects in slides, but I never did it in drawings. Like I never put the connection together.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought about it on the other side. So it's very useful.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because sometimes you need to be very precise with certain things, and if you have that kind of OCD, you definitely you want to make sure that it's perfect so that it looks good. So I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I am one of those people, so I'm gonna definitely keep the shift key in mind when next time I'm in drawings. I mean, I do like drawings a lot. I'll use it for rubrics, different, just because of the format, and like again, the format and choice boards, different things like that. I try to expose the kids to Google Drawings so that they have another app in their tool belt, so that they're just familiar with it. But yeah, I think you're right. I think more people need to be on board with it, because it does open up a whole different mindset with using, shapes and text boxes and to express,
Mm-hmm.
a concept or whatnot. And it's great for memes.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Great for memes. So even that, like getting the kids familiar with, interpreting like a picture or would
Mm-hmm.
come up with a meme.
Mm-hmm.
And then, that's a whole different thinking concept in itself, but you're
Mm-hmm.
using drawings to express that.
Yeah.
So let me ask you something else now, Miss Carol. What so I mean, I get a lot of people, they say, I rather do it in slides, because they're familiar with it. And, slides, they can add multiple
Mhm.
slides to it.
Mhm.
Um, why wouldn't you use slides?
Yeah,
What's your opinion about that?
and I have to be honest, I hadn't really thought much. I talked about my beginner presentation that I gave that one time, and somebody asked me, "Well, what's the difference between drawings and slides?" I can do a lot of this within slides, and I hadn't really ever thought about all the things that you can do in slides are very similar, and it gives you multiple pieces or pages where Google Drawings doesn't. And so that was it. It really made me step back for a minute and think about why I would prefer drawings to slides. And I think one of the things that I really like is just that the transparent background that comes with drawings just immediately, and you can probably get that in slides. But I personally like dealing sometimes with that one piece of paper, just that one page. Um, and then just, I don't know, there's just something about drawings and how you can, I don't know how to explain it, but it's just different enough in the design. For design, that makes my brain think design. Slides, maybe I need to branch out. I think presentation, I think a little bit more limited. Even those slides, you can do so much more than presentations. And but with drawings, I don't know. There's something creative with it that just my brain goes a different way with using it.
Yeah, I agree. You know what? I'm so glad to hear you say that, because I feel the same way. Like when I'm in slides, my mindset is different, right? So
Mhm.
like I'm kind of like geared for getting content out there,
Mhm.
more more so like using text and
Mhm.
like, maybe images, but not making it really too interactive. I don't want to
Mhm.
say it that way, but when I'm in drawings, my mind changes gears, and now I'm looking to make it my content look, pretty,
Mhm.
and I want to make it more interactive.
Mhm.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's a shift in your thinking when you're dealing with one app to the next. Even
Mhm.
though Slides does offer a lot of those
Mhm.
tools, I think it's just a mindset that when you're designing and creating something that's artsy, you're
Mhm.
going to go to that tool
Mhm.
rather than rather than slides.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. That's funny that you feel that way, because I really do feel the same way. And what you can do, which is nice, is you can create like you can create a background
Mhm.
drawings for your Google slide and add
Absolutely.
that, yeah, and then add that in as the background to the slide, and then that image is locked in on your
Mhm.
slide, so that the kids, when they're in that slide deck, they can't make that image move because it's the background image.
Right.
So it's a nice way of interacting with both of the apps in that
Mhm.
respect.
Yeah.
Then in slides, then you can do your drag and drop. You don't have to worry about the background image moving because it's set
Mhm.
as the background image of that slide.
Right, right. In Google Drawings, you can make, that banner for Google Classroom or your Google Sites. You can create things that just like that example that you had for the background and slides, you can create in Google Drawings and take it into any of the others, or you create the image for your slides. Just all over. You can bring that in so easily from one piece to another.
Yeah, and that's another thing I'm glad that you brought up too, is headers and banners.
Mhm.
I use drawings just for that purpose. My Twitter banner. my header, my profile, banner, my Google Classroom banner,
Mhm.
like Google Sites, like everything I do in drawings for that,
Mhm.
and then slides is just a whole different. When I'm in slides, I'm more worried about delivering the content in
Mhm.
a specific way. So
Mhm.
definitely that's a good point to bring up about the two apps, because they both have the same or similar features, but
Mhm.
it's a mindset on what you want to do. And some now the Bitmoji thing,
Yeah.
like the Bitmoji craze is
Mhm.
really taken off, and people use slides for it,
Mhm.
and they certainly can,
Yeah.
because you can add images in there and crop and things like that. So
Mhm. Yeah.
it's just what you're looking to do with it.
Mhm. Yeah.
Exactly. So let me ask you another question, and I don't know if you're going to know this answer. Um, but I find in Google Drawings, when I change the page size to pixels, so say I'm doing, I don't know, I can't even tell you.
So let's do a Google Classroom banner in pixels because I know the pixel size.
Yeah, so you changed the custom, you go to
Mhm.
page size, you go to custom, and then you put your numbers in and you change it to pixels.
Mhm.
I go into my canvas, half of my canvas is okay. Like I can
Mhm.
add text boxes and images on the one half, and then the other half of the canvas, it disappears.
Huh.
When I change the pixel type to inches, it appears there.
I've noticed several times. I was just doing something with pixels the other day. I didn't have that issue, but when I went back in to look at the page size, I noticed it had already changed 2 inches. So it had changed itself to inches. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. So I don't even change it to pixels anymore.
Mhm.
I'm done. I've noticed that too. Like it'll change it to inches.
Mhm.
But sometimes, like when you're Googling different header
Mhm.
banners, you need the specific size, and they give it to you in pixels.
Right.
So now I'm converting pixels to inches, and then I make that page size in my Google drawing as in
Mhm.
inches because of that problem that I've experienced. But that's the only
Mhm.
workaround that I've found to
Mhm.
get out of it, is just to keep it to inches.
Hmm.
I don't know.
I'm not sure. I haven't had that
I'll have to
issue.
show you. I'll have to show you after the show what I'm
But
talking about, because it's
yeah.
it's really weird.
Uh-huh.
Um, but yeah, so that's, and then who has a lot of great information on Google Drawings too is Tony Vincent.
I've
I don't
learned
know.
a lot from Tony. I was very fortunate to be in his classy graphics and classy videos classes. And I pick up a lot of hints and tricks from him and Eric Kurtz and yeah. And that's
Yeah,
that's the other thing too. You don't necessarily have to create if you don't feel as creative or you feel like you don't have time. There are so many templates out there for Google Drawings, and I've been trying to collect those too so I can share them out. But there's like Casey Bell's example of the magnetic poetry. I think Eric Kurtz too has some or different projects that he has with Google Drawings that they're very willing to share. And so there's a lot of great projects out there for use in the classroom just by Googling Google Drawings or whatever. So
yeah, I agree. I mean, if you don't have to, if you can find it and you can use it, then just
mhm,
tweak it and make it your own.
mhm,
That's great. Instead of reinventing the wheel.
mhm,
And one thing I do want to mention too about drawings is a lot of people, they feel like they have to just use that canvas, but they can use the side, like the grayed out area. You
oh
can
yeah.
put objects in there and have students drag from that area onto the canvas. So just because that
Mhm.
area around the canvas is grayed out, doesn't mean you can't use it. You can utilize that space as well.
Right, and is
I
viewable, yeah, to everyone. Hmm.
definitely, yeah.
Yeah,
So, I wanted to mention that as
yeah,
well. But
that's a great thing to mention.
thank you for sharing tonight. I really appreciate it.
It's been a lot of fun. I love Google Drawings. I have to say, I'm pretty passionate about being able to
I
use
tell
it
you
and
what,
share it.
we're gonna have to have like a Google Drawing down or something.
A draw party or something.
Yeah, we'll have to do that because, I feel the same way. Like I actually, I'm an Ozobot ambassador,
Mm,
and I have to submit lessons into them to keep my certification. And with Ozobot, it's a little robot that,
mhm,
it's a programmable robot, and you create boards for it. You can, or you don't have to, but I did. And I used Google Drawings to create my board for my lesson for my Ozobot. And it's just easy. You draw the line, you change the thickness, you bring in circles, you change the thickness, you change the fill, you
mhm,
copy and paste the different lines in the objects. I mean, it's just so easy. But yeah, so like that's another example of using it. It's
mhm,
the mindset that you need to have to be artistic or whatnot to
yeah,
draw about.
yeah,
You know,
just kind of getting those creative juices flowing of what you can do with it.
yeah. I mean, I'm not going to use a piece of paper and draw it out. I'm going to use Google Drawings. Exactly. So, you know, the limits, there's no limits.
Mhm,
There's
there's not.
endless limits with it.
Yeah.
Well, that concludes our show tonight. I really want to thank you for being on. Like I was telling you before, this was my first show in about a month. So I'm glad to get back in the routine of things and start getting my show back every week. So I appreciate you, being on. I know you inquired about being on months ago, and I'm glad that we connected and that you hung in there and didn't reschedule on me. So I appreciate, thankful for that. So what I'm going to do really quick is I'm going to share my screen, and let me share my screen real fast. So if you want to check out my show, you can go to thesweettalk.com. That's the SUITE talk.com. And my website will appear. And on the homepage, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow me on Twitter, subscribe to my newsletter. I'm on Podbean, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and Google Podcast as well. The latest episode will be here on the homepage. My new book that I wrote with Alice Keeler, Stepping Up to Google Classroom, is available on Amazon. It is for beginners. So if you're looking to use an LMS for virtual learning or remote learning, or just for face to face learning, this is a great start or a guide to keep you on track with Google Classroom. If you'd like to be a guest on my show, please fill out the guest inquiry form and I will get back to you as soon as I can. I am right now scheduling for the fall. And if you would like to be a sponsor for my show and support my mission to pay it forward, you can fill out the form here as well. I am very proud to announce that um, Cami and Slides Mania and Screencastify are sponsoring the Sweet Talk. So I'm very thankful for that as well. And also, if you like to see any past episodes, you can just click on that episode page and you'll see all of the old episodes and show notes there as well. So that concludes the show tonight. I really appreciate you being on. It was so much fun and it was a pleasure meeting you. I did learn a lot. I'm going to keep that little trick handy with the shift key now. And that's what it's all about, right? Like we got to pay it forward and help each other because we're all in this together. So,
Yeah.
I really appreciate you being on and taking the time.
Thanks for
So
having me.
that concludes the show. And if you tune in on Thursday, I'm going to have Eric Kurtz on, and he's going to go over his new book, Control Alt Achieve. And I'm really happy to have him on my show as well. So hopefully everyone can tune back in and hear Eric talk about his ideas and how he uses Google Drawings as well. All right, everyone, have a great evening and see you next time. Bye.